Hi everyone, welcome back to this SQL tutorial series. In today's episode, we are going to talk about update statements and also joins. So for topics, we have update statements and we have the four different joins: the inner join, left join, right join, and self join. Alright, so let's start off with our update statement. So the purpose of our update statement is to edit the existing data in our table. So in terms of syntax, we have the update, then we put in the table name, set the column that you want to change equals to the value that you want to replace with. And then over here, you can actually change multiple columns. And then here you put in the where conditions. So let's go straight into an example. So here we actually have the customer table. So let's just say if you want to add in a address for Tom. So as you can see, there's no address for Tom, and we want to add in a new address for Tom. What we can do is we can use the update statement. So we do an update, then we key in the table name, which is customer. Then here we do set, and then the column of interest is address. So we set address equals to the new address that we want to put in. Let's say 28 3rd Street, Kingsford 2032. And then here we want to put in the where statement. So where name is equals to Tom. Alright, so query is okay. So let's take a look at the table. Select star from customer. And as you can see here, we have successfully added a new address for Tom. So let's say if we want to change the address for Kim, we can do the same thing. We do an update. Customer set address equals to, let's say Kim has moved to Kingsford to stay with Tom. So they have the same address. So street, street Kingsford 2032. Kingsford 2032. And then where name is equals to Kim. Alright, so we have changed the row successfully. So let's take a look at the table. Select star from customer. Yes, we can see that Kim and Tom now share the same address. So our next topic is actually inner joins. So if you look into our Venn diagram, what we are actually trying to do is we want to extract data that are within these intersections. So basically any matching values that are in the two tables. So in terms of syntax, here we have select star or whichever columns that you're interested in from table 1, and then we do an inner join with table 2 on table 1's column 1 equals to table 2 column 2. So over here, column 1 and column 2 are pretty much the relationship between this column 1 and column 2 are very identical, and we are using it to link the two tables together. So let's go straight into an example to understand better. So in this example, we can actually see two tables. So we have the customer table that we used just now, and we also have a new point table. So over here, we can see that we have a column called customer ID in customer table. We also have a new column called customer ID in the point table. Essentially, what we want to do is we want to use this customer ID to link the two tables together, right? So we basically, like I said just now, we need to find a column that has a direct relationship with the other table in order to join these two tables together. So let's do the inner join. So let's do select star from customer, and then we do an inner join with points, and then we do an on. So what columns of interest here are we looking at is the customer ID. So customer dot cast ID is equals to points dot cast ID. And here you can see that we have successfully add in a new point column into this brand new table. So this brand new table is the result of an inner join between the customer and also the point table. So you may have actually noticed that there is a missing user from here. So or at a customer table, we have John, Tom, Kim, and Nick. But then here we only have John, Tom, and Nick. So Kim is actually missing from this inner join. So why is that? If you look in Kim, customer ID is actually 3. But then if you look into the point table, we don't have a customer ID for 3. That's why Kim is actually left out in the inner join. So what if we want to actually include Kim into the joins? We can actually use left join, which is what we are going to talk about next. So moving on to left join, essentially what left join is it returns all the data from the left table and also the matching data from the right table. So the matching data are actually data that are inside the intersections, right? So for inner joins, we are only showing data that are in the intersections. For left join, we are including everything from the first table and also the data from the intersections. So like I said just now, if we want to actually include Kim inside the join, we have to use the left join because the left join includes everything inside the customer table and also the intersecting data from the point table. So in terms of syntax, it's quite similar to the inner join. So here we have select star from table 1, left join table 2 on the respective columns between the two tables. So let's go straight into our example. So over here, once again, we have the customer table and also the point table. So let's say if you want to include everything in the customer table and the intersection data from the point table, we use the left join. So we use select star from customer, and then we do a left join on points on customer dot cast ID is equals to points dot cast ID. And as you can see here, we have actually included Kim inside this join. And what you will notice here is that under the points is actually null. It means that she doesn't have any points. As you can see here from the point table, we do not have any points for Kim. That's why her points are actually null. So essentially, if you want to actually include important data from a table, usually you use a left join as you don't want to left out key informations. So with left joins, we also have right join. So right join return all the data from the right table and only the matching table data from the left table. So in terms of syntax, it's pretty much the same as left join. So we do a select star from table 1 and then we do a right join with table 2 on the respective columns. So let's get straight into our example. So as you can see here, the customer table remains unchanged like we used just now. So for the point table, I've actually included an additional customer ID that is not available in the customer table. So here we have a customer ID of 99 with 999 points. So this is most likely the admin user. So let's say we want to do a right join. We want to include everything from the point table and only the matching data from the customer table. We do a right join. So we do a select star from customer, and then we do a right join on points on customer dot cast ID is equals to points dot cast ID. So as you can see here, we have a customer ID of 99 with 999 points with no name, no email, no addresses. So in the last join we have here is self join. Self join is a way for us to join the same table by itself. So what do I mean by this? So let's just say if you have a table that has a primary key and also a foreign key, you can use a self join to join a table to extract data within the same table itself. So in terms of syntax here, we have select star from table 1. Here we have A, we label it as A. And then also notice here we use the same table, right? Because we are doing a self join, we are using the same table. We do table 1 again, and then we label it as B this time. And this is where we actually link A dot column 1 is equals to B dot column 3. So let's move on to the example, and I think you'll get a better picture from there. So in this example, we use the employee table. So notice here we have an employee ID. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have Tom, Kim, Jim, and Lee. And then here we have a supervisor ID, right? So what it means here is that, for example, Tom, his supervisor ID is 4. So Tom's supervisor is actually Lee, right? And then for Kim, Kim's supervisor is actually Tom. And Jim's supervisor is actually Tom as well. So for Lee, his supervisor is supervisor ID 5, which is absent in this table. So let's say if you want to actually create a table to show the employee's supervisor name as well, we use the self join. So in terms of syntax, we do a select. So we do A dot employee ID, and then we name it as employee ID, and then we have A dot employee name as employee name, and then we have B dot supervisor ID underscore ID as supervisor ID, and then B dot employee name as supervisor name. And then here we do a from. So we're using the same table. So we name the first table as A. So from table A, employee A, and then we do employee B, where A dot supervisor ID is equals to B dot employee ID. Alright, so here we can see that he is here. His supervisor is Tom, Jim's supervisor is Tom, and then Tom's supervisor is Lee, right? So here what we do is essentially you need to put in the A dot because you're actually using the first table, A. And then here for A is actually inclusive of all the employee details. And then for B, we want to use it for all the supervisor's detail. And for supervisor detail, you notice that we actually uses the employee name. So it's actually from the same table itself. And then here we do a linkage where A dot supervisor ID is equals to B dot employee ID. So for this one, it's usually what I do is for self join, I usually do I'll just test it out, and sometimes it may work, sometimes it may not work. So you can test it out, and eventually you're gonna get a table that will look exactly as what you wanted. Because sometimes I probably try B dot supervisor ID is equals to A dot employee ID, and sometimes I get different results. So essentially, you just keep trying until you get a specific result that you want. Alright, so this is it for this episode. In the next video, we will be actually talking about functions, and that will be the last episode for this SQL series. So subsequently, I will be actually creating 2 more series, the R series and also the Python series, where I will be teaching you the fundamentals of R and Python programming. Alright, so thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.